and welcome to What's Past This podcast. My name is Robert.
I'm Damian.
I'm Steve.
And I'm James, and today we're joined by a special guest, a friend of ours, whose name is Vaibhav Shrivastava. I hope I've done that all right. Better known to us as LV. How are you?
Yes, he's done it perfectly. Yeah. Very well, thank you for having me.
And we're going to be talking to LV about some shows we've done with him in the past and shows that he's done in India and a bunch of other things, I imagine.
And if you like us talking to our guest friends and you're watching on YouTube, why not like, comment, and subscribe?
And don't forget, if you listen to us on any other platform, make sure you hit that follow button.
So for context, we met LV in 2017, I want to say, in Anvil, member of Anvil.
Yeah,
and at the time
right.
you were living in North Wales. You're from India, and how did you end up in North Wales, of all places?
It's a good question, isn't it? Like, I could have choose to gone anywhere in the world, but I end up in the North Wales, and I end up meeting you people. So, well, from India, after finishing my postgrad in international business, I moved to UK for an opportunity. So I was working for a coaching company, but since the beginning, since I start about understanding things, I know that I'm a creative person, so I didn't know about I have been a creative person all my life with different subjects or everything I had done in my life, the courses or whatever, even in my corporate culture. But then out of the blue, on a weekend, on a friend of mine where I was staying at earlier in the inner Wales, Conway. So they suggested, why don't you just go and join some theatre, and it would be fun for you you will make some friend of your age group rather than sticking with us people. So yeah, then and that's where I joined Anvil, and I met you guys there. So that was the story. Or if I could tell, is took a flight and which landed me to Manchester, then traveled to Conway. So
yeah, of all the billions of people you could have met in the world, you ended up meeting us. So lucky you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm stuck with you guys, aren't I? And you're stuck with me, so don't complain.
So, was that the first time you got into acting, or did you have an interest before that?
That's a very good question, Steve. Seriously, when I started my MBA, in there, they started to do some gigs like a brand promotion and stuff. So I just did a skit, but I didn't realize that that's acting I wanted to do until I joined Anvil and I started doing stuff. Then I moved to when I moved back to Liverpool, and that's where the real passion kicks in. That's where I start to understand things about it, start doing things. And my first production, with you guys, which we might come to talk about later. And that was my first ever acting job. I did it with you all. So, and that's where the bug of acting, it bite me a little bit. And then I'm okay. Ooh, I love that.
You just mentioned now about doing a show with us. So what was this show when we were with Anvil?
It was Robin Hood. We are. The pantomime. And it was wonderful. And I played Alan Adele and I studied with the lovely Jacob, who's not here today. So it was a wonderful opportunity to work with you all, and I really enjoyed it, the whole process of it. The warm session, all the learning process of acting, all the rolling on the floor in the Caldera rep and doing haka there.
Oh yes, and you'll see a picture of that on the screen now.
Yes.
And it's just bringing me all those wonderful and weird memories, even the corner shop where I used to get the pasties. Yeah.
You mentioned that the other day. And James actually said himself that you must be the only Indian person in the whole world who enjoys the corner shop. That specific corner shop.
I am a kind of person who enjoys a little things in my life. So, and that corner shop can be, a metaphor for me. When I was as a child, I used to go in a corner shop in my neighborhood. And then I moved to this adult world of studying and doing stuff and following responsibility, and I stuck with it. Then I went back to, when I was doing the course, I was free then. And that was a kind of metaphor for me connecting from there to there, two dots, and then you're leading towards the journey you're destined to be. So that was a bit deep, wasn't it?
Again, probably never
boring.
never that corner
That's
shop.
fine.
That corner shop's probably never been described so poetically before.
Yeah.
True.
Free publicity for them right now.
We are not giving the name of until we get the sponsored for this podcast by that corner shop.
You're very much right.
I don't go to that corner shop often. Damien, you said that LV is the only person who said that he likes it. What's wrong with it?
Oh, no. What I mean is, no, this is probably true. No other Indian person in the world's ever been there, but then specifically said that they missed that shop.
Yeah.
Because I was the only one who was visiting there. There was nobody there. At that time, maybe. But I wasn't the only one who used to go there. James, Damian, Jacob, they all dragged me with them there.
Yeah,
that's how I know. Say I'm not the one to blame. These three are to blame as well.
Yeah, but considering that's the closest shop and we'd have to walk like 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, true.
Well, that was our excuse to just get out from there.
There's a rich tradition, I think, of actors sort of, going to the local kind of dumpy shop or pub around the corner from the theatre that they spend all their time in. So I think Millbank Stores is our kind of, it's not like a pub in Stratford exactly. But
Our place.
Yeah,
Yes.
our place.
Yes, I like that.
I'd say the Millbank shop, though, brilliant place, very friendly staff. So if you guys would like to sponsor us, we'd be very happy for it because we know you're lovely.
I can name the project I love there. You can imagine them. I mean, you can picture them.
Cheese onion pasty.
Cheese onion pasta. That's the one.
25p chocolate. Can't go wrong.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's 50p now, isn't it?
50. God.
I like the fact that we've just gone from talking about LV to talking about the shop.
Anyway, this is supposed to be a drama podcast. Yeah, so we did Robin Hood, and then you very cruelly abandoned us and went to Liverpool. And I'm joking. You went to Liverpool.
But before that, we went to Stratford, didn't we?
We did go to Stratford.
Before I abandoned you, we went to Stratford. That was a journey, and that was the best time ever I could ask for. Those 2 days, I think we spent there, didn't we?
Yeah. In fact, we went twice to Stratford, didn't we?
Yeah, we went twice, so everything is mixed up. But the very first trip I was talking about, the one, we had lots of memories when everyone got drunk. Shall we name the names now?
Yes.
Yes, let's name them. Let's name and shame.
No. I, you know what, other day I was just arranging my room and I found that the lovely, the album you guys gave it to me, which has lovely LV at the top and then had all the pictures, all the meme on all these pictures there. And there was and there was one of those pictures as well there, the one I'm talking about, on the corridor, like this on the face, and the other person, who I'm talking about. Shall we name it?
Was that the one where one of the people had a major hangover and we decided to take a picture of them and pose next to him?
That's the one.
Jacob got very drunk at the bar and threw up everywhere.
I thought we weren't name and shaming.
Yeah, I've got to say actually that I was having this conversation fairly recently about, could you name like the best day of your life? And I was like, I can't think of one specifically, but the only one, the one that springs to mind is the day the first day we went to Stratford and saw Julius Caesar and went to the workshops and Shakespeare's house and all those kinds of things. That's that weekend. I don't have any bad memories of it. It was just great.
The whole weekend, I didn't have a single bad memories of that trip. Everything was like as the way it should be. And we were like looking at things and we were like there in the land of Shakespeare, experiencing things in that way. I even have a picture of you and me, James, in the Shakespeare school with dressing like them. And I still have that picture.
Oh, I remember that picture.
Yeah, that picture.
I remember that picture.
Yeah.
Huh. You two looked so adorable together.
And the other one in the dressing room wearing the hat and those ones. So just every time I'm just feeling like a little bit I'm having a nostalgia about this place. I just go through that album and just look at those pictures. It cheer me up. I just feel like yesterday. It doesn't feel like 4 years Oh dear, I'm old.
One
now.
of the pictures of you two there is one of the pictures of you two. We made it a meme for about a year, didn't we?
Yeah, I know which
It
one.
was just. It's the one you looking over his shoulder and you're both wearing the costumes.
Yeah. And it was like, "Hello, friends. Can I be your friend?" Wasn't it that one? Yeah. Can I be your friend with James? I mean, adorable picture. Loved it.
I was going to say, I wanted to talk about the second time we went to Stratford.
Oh, not about that
Second
one.
time, not quite as idyllic.
It wasn't quite. It wasn't the trip. It wasn't the fact that we were in Stratford. It was more like the trip
there was just
back.
the one thing
if anything.
happened on the way back from the second time we went to Stratford that kind of spoiled the whole weekend. But it was the first time, so I hadn't long passed my driving test, and it was my first kind of major trip driving somewhere. And five was in this small little tiny tin box car. And basically we nearly got run off the road by a lorry driver that was frustrated at me for being cautious at a roundabout, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. It was unfortunate because it was, apart from that, I think it was quite a good weekend.
Lorry driver out there, if you were the one who tried to run a blue Hyundai off the road, hello.
Yeah, fuck you.
We all are grateful of your mercy. And what James said, yes, that too.
What shows did we see that trip? Which I get because I've been like 3 or 4 times now. I get them muddled up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember. Was it? No, it wasn't Titus, was it?
Yes, I think it was.
Or was
actually
it?
Titus
Was
and
it Salome? Like we saw Salome.
Oh, we saw Titus Andronicus, and then we saw the Princess Salome, and that was the play we were not expecting to see. Something we were not expecting to see that close.
Yes. To basically cut it bluntly, we saw a huge dong, and it was swinging in the wind.
But it was a lovely experience, though, as in from an acting perspective, we talk about it. So there was another side, there was a Titus Andronicus, and then there was a Salome. So it's a lovely experience as an acting perspective, learning about things, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, Titus as well. We saw that play the night it was being broadcast. So although usually we watch those plays live, we were there as they were recording it live, and I think we had one of our friends was in the cinema back home watching the same exact performance as us at the same time. But that was kind of cool seeing how that all works in the actual venue. And great production of a very horrible, brutal, nasty show. That
was actually, So still I can see the blood. Oh, I can see the picture. I can picture it right now. It's fresh.
You see, I'm not one really for very gory stuff, but also I know when it's fake, and it was very believable. The gore in Titus was very believable, even when you were watching it up close.
Yeah, it was so shocking.
Damien, do you remember? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Pardon?
No, I was just saying, do you remember when we went to the very first time to Stratford, right? We went to the backstage tour of the RSC. And in the makeup room, they showed us how they take the blood out of their mouth, or the blood they use it, with the combination of and the syrup. And that was actually thing they were doing it in the Titus Andronicus, but it felt so real when we were watching it.
Yeah, like we knew how they made it, but it looked so real when they were doing it.
So that is the beauty of acting, isn't it? They made it believe what is not real.
Yes,
and that's what I loved about it. That's what I love about this craft. Like, you can make people believe what is not even real there. For a moment, you forget that you're actually watching a play, but you were like, oh, the shit. And the boys, you remember the boy's neck?
Oh yeah, that was Julius Caesar. That was amazing.
Yeah,
that was Julius. Yeah, Julius.
Yeah, little
Caesar,
boy gets his neck broken on stage, and it's they had this really horrible sound effect, and it was timed absolutely perfectly, and it made all the audience gasp in a way that that would never happen if you were watching a film.
I watched people when that happened. I remember specifically watching people, and they were like, "Oh!"
Yeah, that was.
And I hope me doing that sound does it justice. Like, does it justice to the people who were revolted by that?
A particular scene in Titus Andronicus that's of all the horrible things that happen in that play. There's one particularly horrible thing that happens. I won't say what it is, but needless to say, this young woman sort of walks on stage, having had done to her what happens to her, and just the kind of pitying gasp as well from the audience just kind of stuck with me. It was so kind of impactful, and also there's a scene where a guy falls backwards into a pit. So there's a whole trap door open in the stage, enormous trap door, and this guy's walking backwards on stage talking to someone, and he falls in, and it's just that moment of like, was that supposed to happen?
Oh yeah.
But it was incredible the way they did it. I mean, that's the level,
Yeah, and it was David Troughton in the lead role. He was brilliant, and also the guy that plays the corner shop owner in Father Ted was in that as well, which I liked. Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. The name of the actor I forget, but I'll put it on screen.
But you would know that who's in it, wouldn't you? Because you watch too much Father Ted.
It's so good.
Mrs. Brown's Boys for the win.
Come on, man. If you haven't seen Father Ted, watch Father Ted. It's the best sitcom.
James, we've already talked about Father Ted on the previous podcast. Let's carry on.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I haven't seen Father Ted myself, but like I'm going to say that it's probably better than Mrs. Brown's Boys. Sorry, I just don't find that funny, like
it is.
At all. Yes, I know Damian's making a face at me right now, but I just don't find it funny. LV, what do you feel is more important for an actor? Is it talent or training? What do you feel is more important?
For me, it's training.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Because what is an acting? It's an illusion you create on a stage by making the people believe what you're doing it, right? And acting is, for me, a sum of total of lots of small tools you use it for tools and methods. Right, like Stanford, the Meisner technique, the Stella Adler technique. You use it. You use many great people have done it the various ways, and it's a combination of everything. But your body, your voice, your thought process, it comes after training. If you're not trained, your voice is not trained, and I have to. I'm doing the scene from Julius Caesar and addressing the crowd. And all of a sudden, I'm like very timid speaking guy, and I'm like, and I will lose the voice. So I have to train my voice for that. I have to, if I am doing something very much physical or something, a very strong physical lead, my body has to be flexible. My body has to be strong. I'm not asking you to build up the muscles or anything, but it has to be in a fit shape that it could stand on the stage for like 3 hours if it has to be. So you have to train your body, you have to train your voice, you have to train your different techniques. So training is very important for an actor. You never ever, even if you're not doing any job, you must keep training. And in our, like in Indian culture, even the singers, they do a daily practice of it. That's called riyaz here. So we do a daily practice, like 30-minute to an hour session, where you train your voice, you train your body, and also the training of your mind. That controls everything. Thoughts, you have to control it.
Yeah.
You have to have an order of doing it. So of course, people are talented. Yeah, some people are gifted, truly natural people, but the training plays the vital role for me. Yeah. And that is where I'm right now. Only because I have been fortunate enough to train with a great mentor over a period of time back in UK and here in India. So it really does help me. It really help me as a person, as an actor, to realize my true potential, and it's okay to be vulnerable for me if I am vulnerable. So that training taught me about it.
Yeah. That's.
I hope I answered.
Yeah, no, that's a really good answer and a very interesting one as well.
I have a question. So, whilst you were in the UK, you did some extra work on the long-running TV sitcom Hollyoaks. I just wanted to know what that experience was like.
Yeah, when I was there, I was fortunate enough to do a couple of shows as supporting artist. I've done Hollyoaks, as you mentioned. I've done Coronation Street as well, the longest one, the 62 years, I guess, or 63, I don't know. And I have done Bulletproof, lots of shows. I can't remember the name right now, right? But as a supporting artist, that helped me to give me perspective what's happened actually behind the camera. So people say like, okay, you are an extra, you do nothing there. But when you're there, you're actually a cast, real cast. You just don't have a dialogue.
Yeah.
But you're doing more of the hard work. Actually, you're on a set. You are very alert. You're doing all those things in a background. You're pretending to be somebody. They just give you, okay, you know this girl and you know these people and you're in a party or maybe you're dating. And you just met that person you're dating right now. So you have to be very improv with it. You have to make your story there to make them believe you're doing real, you're not faking it because camera catches everything all. And you can't do too much or you can't do too little. So, and also how they shoot different scenes and how they connect all them together. What is the shooting culture is like, how a director give different directions to people, how did they take the lights, how the sound. And, you know, if I'm having a very timid conversation or very close conversation with like two people that close to each other. And so I can't be too loud. I have to be very, very soft spoken. So the boom will pick it up. Lots of technical stuff. So I just didn't do that stuff. What I was doing while I was doing that, I was observing all that. What's happening around me, how these leads are doing these things. So it was a kind of a training for me and I was getting paid for it. And it was a good money, like for a day, not even a whole day work. It was like 4 or 5 hours a day and I was getting good money for it. It was like helping me for a week for my extra cash for my pocket, which I really needed back then. So I still do need it. I'll give me people some work. But yeah, that really helped me at that point to learn about these things. And now when I train in front of the camera, those experiences helps me and I can relate I can do that. I have done that before. And I've been featured in 2000 and then I did a commercial for Adidas World Cup.
Oh,
so that experience led me to there. Yeah. And in 2018, there was lots of celebrity. There was a mad day, seriously, 7 days in Manchester in cold warehouse. Okay, so many people there. There's a mad experience where I met so many celebrities that I won't name names. Otherwise, James would be like, okay, he's dropping the names again.
No, go for it. We want to know.
We want to know these information.
Okay, I can't remember. No, I met David Beckham, I met Messi, I met Mohamed Salah, I met Paul Pogba, I met Stormzy.
Wow.
These are the only name I can recall at the moment for the Adidas shoot. And there was another shoot I've done it with different things. Like I've done Bulletproof, I've done Safe, I have done Hollyoaks, I already mentioned Coronation Street. Oh, I can't recall now. It's been 3 years now. Oh, I'm old.
Well, out of all of those experiences that you've had, which one do you say is the most memorable and like your favorite one?
Well, they're all lovely people. I loved everything. I made actually good friends from there. From going there, I became such a regular there. They loved me. So I became a regular for after a while. I've done so much things. If you ever watched Hollyoaks, I was sometimes morning, sometimes partying, sometimes I was just being somebody's date, and I was actually shared the screen with Nancy, actually the character, and it was great things. But maybe I'll say Coronation Street. There was a scene there. I was doing it by the train station. I don't know the name of it. It was on ITV Studio Manchester in the Coronation Street set, and it was set there, and I was standing just browsing my phone, and I was wearing that green jumper and black trouser and green socks and stuff. All of a sudden, the director came to me, and I was said, "Oh, I love the way you are doing this stuff, and this is great. Can you just do it more and just interact with the I can't remember the name. there was 2 lead actresses who was coming out of the station. So can you interact with them a little bit? And I was like, okay. So literally, I was just chilling at the set while they were setting stuff, the camera and the lights and everything, and they're setting the background. And all of a sudden they came in to do that, and I was like, okay, I love it. And then I got some lovely feedback that you received the direction very well. So that was good for me, because that helped me to boost up my confidence. Because I wasn't confident enough back then, which I am right now. So those small things that it did, yeah.
I think these experiences do help people boost their confidence, trying new things and sort of stepping out of their comfort zone. And you mentioned you had some feedback there. So I think everyone has the positive and even negative feedback. So I'm just wondering,
Yes.
Yeah.
I've asked this question in a previous interview podcast episode before, but seeing that you mentioned feedback, just wondering, how do you react when you receive negative feedback on a performance or anything that you've been in?
Mm-hmm. For me, the feedback is more important than somebody's praising your performance, because that's where I know, okay, I need to work on these couple of things. And I always, I'm not saying that because we are going to record or doing these things, but as in general, when I'm doing shows here in India, or I'm doing any production, the feedbacks are the great thing to help you, I always take them like with my arms wide open, and that's the beauty of it, because you would know that, okay, these are the things I thought that I've done good, but okay, I could have done it better. That person can see some flaws in it, and I can relate with it. So the best way for me to take a feedback is like being open-minded about it. Okay, be adaptable and respect the person, whatever they're saying. At the end of the day, it's your choice. If you like that feedback and you think, okay, it's going with your character, what you were playing back then, and you think it's marrying with it, and you're comfortable doing it, definitely implement it for the next one and try. Acting is all about trying, not just theory. So you do it and try. If it works, it works. It doesn't work, the director is there. You must trust that person. If director is giving you feedback, definitely you're not doing something when, you know the answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, they are really helpful. So I take them like with my arms wide open.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to take feedback. But do you have any techniques that you use to create a believable character?
There's over the period of time, I haven't done much TV work back then when I was in UK, right? Or any theatre work back then, because I had a job and I was doing it over weekends. I was training, and I was taking all those acting classes in Liverpool and doing a little bit of whatever the work I can get. But when I came back to India back in 2018, end of the 2018 and started 2019, I joined a theatre group, Theatre Leela here. So where I did lots of shows, that of Salesman, Can't Pay, Won't Pay, and let's talk about and lots of Hindi plays as well. But let's talk about that of Salesman. It was a Biff there. I played a Biff Lowman. It was a Biff Lowman in Otto Miller, Death of a Salesman. I played a Biff Lowman. So yeah, it's about like preparing a character. So I always, what I do is like just go through the script and read everything is there. So whatever their first reaction, I read it without the emotion, the very first one. I don't, it's just flat read. And then the very first reaction, whatever the, whatever, for any character, whatever I'm feeling, okay, this person's feeling that, or this person is, okay, this is that. So I make those little notes somewhere. Because when you read any story or any script very first time, it's fresh for you, right? So you get a fresh perspective. But then, as an actor, as you all are, I'm sure you all do the same. You read the script again and again and again. So when you do that, after a while, those things, those words, sometimes start to lose the very first time feeling. It's same like when you're going on a date with first time with somebody. You have that spark in the very first time, and after a while, Either it just fade up or build up. Is differently there. It's love works in mysterious ways. Anyways, so it's the same with the script. So I see the script and do that. Then I prepare a character sketch. I made the SWOT analysis of the character, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat of that character. So there's a whole process doing the character preparation, how we prepare, and then there's 5 Ws are most for me. All the 5 Ws of acting, and it's equal to 1 H. That helps me to define all those things. I ask why that person is the way he is, or what are the challenges, and where is all those like geographical things, all the social economical background, the relation with his father, his mother, his brother, and his past experiences and all those things. So those 5 Ws and all those, you read in your acting books. So this is just a general process I followed. But one thing I really loved about bringing my perspective, what I do, I add a little bit of LV into the biff to making it mine.
Yeah, to sort of make it stand out.
Yeah,
you don't want to sort of copy.
Yeah, it's
people.
mine.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm inhabiting somebody.
Yeah.
So so I just little bit LV in it. It's like a salad. So whatever I can get it from the script, I put it there. Then I put a little sparkle of LV there. Okay, voila, it's ready. And in the notes I will get from director. Okay, you're gonna do that. Okay. So let's do seasoning maybe. So yeah, the character is ready.
So you did. So Death of a Salesman is, obviously an American play, and it's one that coincidentally we're reading tomorrow in Script Club. But so
yes, we are. Yes.
Doing a production of that in India. What was that like then? Was it set in India? Was it?
No. It wasn't adopted. It was simply an English play, but like in Saturday in Brooklyn, New York, same set. With the production house I was working with, they didn't have a massive budget, so we did it with the limited resources available. And the only thing we kept it was we didn't try to apt the American accent, because all of us, whoever in the cast, we have different accent because we all Indian. You might know that as an Indian person, we have different accent than the Britishers, right? Spanish have a different one, French have a different one, American have a different one. It's our native language anyway, because of that. So because I've noticed before when I was I've seen the plays in India, people who would try to do the English plays, they try to do the accent, and when we are there, when they are on the stage, it appears that way they're trying to master or copy an accent, and doing an accent is a challenge anyway. It's an all different thing, and you need to hold that voice coach and everything, so we don't have that resource available. So what we did it in our own accent. So everybody was different. Most of them was sounding English, and I was Indian English, and I was sounding a little bit of British English because I had an influence of little bit of Liverpool and English culture in my language back then. And I could define it with the Biff because Biff was a traveler. I mean, he ran away from house. He was living somewhere else. I could made that little changes. Okay, if my accent is different from my family because I lived outside of the state for a while.
Oh, regional accents.
Regional accents, yeah, could be defined with that. Yeah. So that was the process, and then we did it the same way. We kept the costume close to the area, the timeline, whatever, 1950s, all the striped suits and all those hair was the flaky hairs and those baseball, and we kept it as close as we can get with the limited amount of the production budget and the resources availability in India, because it's difficult to find the Western furniture or Western costume in here, especially the period ones. I could, if I'm doing an Indian drama, I could easily find the click of it, or if I have lots of money, I can buy it with. But that was again the case of that. But we didn't focus on those external parts, so we truly focused on acting bit. All we wanted to achieve by that, if we are putting a story there, a story of a family, like any other, it's happening in English, happening in 1950s, and that is what it is. End of the day, we want audience to move with us, and that's what happened. We did like 7 or 8 shows of that production over a period of time, and it was great success. The audience loved it. Not just one character, they loved every character. They actually came and talked. The audience actually came, unknown people, they came and talked to us about it. So yeah, it's a special one for me.
Good.
Would you say that kind of Western theatre, sort of British and American plays are sort of popular in India and frequently performed?
Yes, Shakespeare is very famous. We do lots of Shakespeare play in India, English, and even the adaptation of English Shakespeare as well. So, see, even in the modern India believes in that English is just a mere language, right? Any language is mere medium of expressing what you are. And most of the people speak English as a second language here. An audience who love theatre, they love to see the variety of things. So if you're performing for audience who is majorly Hindi speaking, the regional language of India, or the Delhi where I am right now, so they do a play in Hindi and they adopt let's say Hamlet. They adopt Hamlet in an Indian story, or they adopt Macbeth in Indian. If there is adaptation of that play, or they are just doing Hamlet but in Hindi. So there are lots of writers who translated the play in Hindi, but like other day we were talking about, I don't like any literature to translate in a different language because it loses beauty out of it. So yeah, so I personally don't like any Shakespearean plays happening in Hindi unless they are the adaptation of it.
I suppose it kind of loses its iambic pentameter once it's translated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not for me. I mean, sorry people out there, but it's just not for me. But sorry, not sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've watched a Tom Scott video before where it explains about iambic pentameter and that it doesn't work well when it's translated. Mm-hmm. Which, it's a very interesting video from what I remember of it anyway.
Yeah, we'll probably link that video.
Yeah, I was just about to say something about that, like that, James.
But, from what I remember, it does explain what you're trying to tell us, Alvi.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is what it is. But we have like lots of audience here who love different plays. We are fascinated about the Western culture anyway. The colonization. That's the colonization for you. We do lots of modern English plays, like the Waiting for Godot is one of the famous one. People love to do it all the time with different experiment with it.
Really?
Yeah. Chekhov is very famous. We love Chekhov. We love do Chekhov. Shakespeare is famous. We love Autumn Miller. We'll do lots of Dario for Can't Pay, Won't Pay, and even start recently. I have seen a production somebody was doing for James Cooney's Run for Your Wife. There was a
yes.
That's one people we do lots of shows. It's just like in a Western world, we're not like may not be that big as like the grandeur of the Royal Shakespeare Company or the Globe or the National Theatre. But if you come to the craft bit, the acting bit, it's awesome. People have lots of things, and I love the Indian theatre, especially the regional ones. It has a whole different set of beauty. It's just blown my mind away when I gone into that. Yeah.
That brings me on to my question, saying that with Indian theatre. Mm-hmm. Is there a big difference between Indian theatre and British theatre?
Interesting, yeah.
Well, interesting question, Steve, isn't it? It's not that theatre. British theatre is like mostly whatever I have seen it, most of the shows were like Shakespearean plays. Mm-hmm. Or the modern playwrights, right? Yeah. And they are great. Similar way, and all of them, most of their languages are in English. It's happening in English and a regional accent, right? And same way in Indian theatre, we do the stories. If we are picking the Shakespearean stories, they're happening in English or they are happening in the regional language if they are not the adaptation of it. And But there are lots of great Indian playwrights, awesome Indian playwrights. So there are lots of Indian playwrights who are amazing with it.
Mhm.
So and the stories are amazing. If you talk about traditional Indian theatre, and traditional Indian theatre, which is somehow lost with the civilization over a period of time, but you will find them when you go in the narrow lanes of the street of some villages, or especially the temples, or especially South India. If you travel to South India, Tamil Nadu, you will see Tamil Nadu is a land which has lots of ancient temples dating back to 600 BC. So even older than that. I would not go into detail of that. So, but in those temples, you will see the carving of the plays. You will see. I think it is the right time I will mention this. So there's a book written by a sage Bharat Muni called Bharatnatyam. So which has tools and techniques, as Rob was earlier asking me about, tools and techniques of acting there. So in Bharatnatyam, there's lots of technique. What kind of plays there? There's like 10 types of plays. What are the aesthetics or essence of the acting, like emotional aesthetic essence, right? So there's like so in Bharat Muni, the sage Bharat has mentioned like there's nine essential aesthetic essence. So if I say in English, there would be one is love, which is Shringar. Then there's laughter. Then there's a sorrow. Then there's a anger. Then there's a courage. Then there's a terror. And the bhayam. And then vibhatsa, disgust. And there's adbhutam, which is suspense or surprise. So, and the last one is the peace or tranquility. So these 9 engines, these are the basic 9 one, and there's none of them. Just think about any emotion, right? Any aesthetic essence of it. These are the 9 ones, and everything is based around these emotions. And there's a dance form called Bharatnatyam. So in the Bharatnatyam, they actually mention about the aesthetic of it. And the dancer, the lady who does that, she expresses everything on her face, and you can see it when she is doing like Shringar, which is the love one, right? So you can see love can be different. Love can be between 2 lovers. It can be between mother and son or daughter. It could happen for devotion. So it's a love, different form, but you can see in her face, and there's like courage. When you have like facing some enemy, just a feeling of really feeling proud. So it's in Bharatnatyam. There's lots of things, lots of details about the plays and the techniques and storyline and so much of that. So it's awesome. But if I start talking about that, we need like 5 or 6 hours for that. But I'm not gonna go in that detail. So what basically?
Do you want to do an all-nighter?
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna bore you with the detail. You can read it. I'll send you the stuff.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the beauty. But it's bring the culture out of it. There's different cultural differences. Like in India, we speak so many languages, right? So, if you're doing Marathi plays, there's a Marathi culture there. If you're doing Tamil plays, there's a Tamil culture there. If you're doing Hindi plays, there's a Hindi plays there. So if you're doing like modern play with Hindi, English, mix of different languages, like the modern youth of India. So it's just awesome, amazing. So as an artist, I just get fascinated about seeing all those things happening and the people doing different stories in differently. Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember you
Very interesting.
telling us recently about kind of the difference in narrative between sort of standard Western drama and traditional Indian drama. I wondered if you could kind of briefly sort of summarize that again for us.
Oh yeah, that one. Because recently I did a workshop with a very well-known Indian drama school, and where I just learned about that. Just for sharing with you what I learned at that time. So it was fascinating. I was fascinated about that. So what our mentor told me about that is like the Western theater or Western playwrights, because they believe
Yeah.
in the mythology of, they believe there's a belief system, right? Somebody born, and then they live their life, then they die, right? So it's a linear line, 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot. But in ancient Hindu culture, we have a belief: somebody take birth, then they live their life, then they die, and based on their life, they take rebirth. So it's happening not in circle, it's happening in a spiral way. You born,
Okay.
you live your life, you die, and then you take a rebirth, and then you same process, but it's not ending. It's again based on your karmas, and then you're doing that as spiral. So that reflects in the storyline of it. So if you go in a Sanskrit place, which are the ancient form of Hindi or Indian culture, in a Sanskrit place, you will see that there's a storyline not happening linear way, it's happening in spiral, because so many characters, so many places are changing like this. If you see any, just name any Western drama, just think about it in your head, right? There will be a place, you will be there, the story will be happening from some point, there will be a starting point, then will happening there, and then will be ending somewhere. There will be no people not coming from different planets, and they're not visiting, then they're going, and then all of a sudden there's something magical appears, and there's like supernatural powers there. So it's just it's a spiral in that way. So that was the difference, like the very first difference. There's so many different aspects, but that's the one I was talking about other day, James. The like linear and the spiral way of it. Yeah, I think I explained it. I don't know. I just made a mess of it. Didn't I? I don't know. I confused you all. I can see it in your face. You're like, okay, what he's talking about? Just shut up.
I was just thinking, actually, it's interesting to talking to people from different cultures, and I know this from from studying music as well, meeting people from different countries and different backgrounds and different musical backgrounds. So it's interesting to have those things that you just completely take for granted sort of challenged, and people say, well, actually we don't necessarily do that thing that you just accept as being, that's the way things are, but actually it made me think that actually we don't really know that much about us lot, we don't really know much about sort of British theatre from like before, like pre-Shakespeare. We don't really, there's a kind of a lot of stuff there that isn't really performed very often here, and it'd be interesting to know more about what theatre was like before Shakespeare's kind of time.
Yeah. Right. This is interesting because when I was there, I just recently learned about that as well, because it says in here that the theatre is born from the Greeks, because there was Thespius there, right? And it was based on the very first actor, Thespius. Mm-hmm. Based on his name, the theatre comes along. But in India, theatre was way before that. It was happening way before that. The things people call is mythology, which are our history, like Ramayana, the time of Ramayana or Krishna or Mahabharata. It was happening way before that. It was happening way before the Christ born. So, but I'm not the historian to tell about things, but this is my analogy about it anyway. That India being the oldest civilization in the world, right? And then years back, hundreds of years back, then the different people visited India, like the Mughal came, and then the Sikandar visited. Alexander visited. That's his Hindi name. Alexander visited. Then the Portuguese came, and then the Spanish came. Then the Britishers came. Right. So the things start to fade up, and the last civilization was here before anybody was the British civilization. So whatever the people, who are right now in this country, we only have like less than 75 years of before the British departed from India. So the culture reference, people get influenced by the other people, right? The last influence we have it from the British culture. most of it. So that is, and the culture you guys have it or still have it, the same Western culture. So people follow that, and whatever the ancient time was, it was gone. It was lost somewhere, either looted or destroyed or burned by different emperors way before that. So it's just that. So it's lost, but somehow it is still alive somewhere in the temples and in the shrines, and then in the oldest books, which are the sages. So yeah, there's history. There's a whole lot of history about it. It's a rich history, which fascinates me as an actor to study about things and create something out of it. And I love that part of my job. I haven't done much of it, but I would love to do so many things. And I'm like, okay, I got this small little life to do it, but I got lots of things to do and learn about it. As you were mentioning earlier that you don't know, as you mentioned, like you don't know much about the richness of the British culture. As same way, I don't know much about it. So it's fascinates us as a budding actor that okay, we love to do more things about it and more plays, more stories, bring out more story out of it and different ways of doing it if we have opportunity to do it in future.
Yeah, and I think, well, again, it's like, the one of the interesting things about music is that it's people say that music is a universal language, which isn't strictly true, but it is true that music does exist in some form in every known culture in the world, whether a currently existing culture or a historical culture.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to know whether drama also kind of is sort of a universal part of human culture, or certainly I'd imagine storytelling is, and so the idea that something like theatre was just invented by some guy in Greece at some point a couple of thousand years ago is kind of
I think we just don't have the somewhere the books or something which can tell us. We only know the knowledge in the database, the knowledge. That's the only thing we had right now, don't we? If we had that database of knowledge somewhere to acquire it, okay, we can dig it, but it's not available. It's destroyed or it's just not there.
Yeah.
Isn't cave paintings the earliest form of recorded storytelling?
Yeah.
Cake making?
Cave painting.
Oh, cave painting. Sorry, I misheard that. I just had the headphones on.
Yeah, true. So it's fascinating that even as far back as humanity goes, that humans created art. There was something, some kind of drive within humans to create things. To create things that aren't just strictly necessary for survival.
There's a story I learned about, which is like the people when we were in Stone Age, right? So people used to hunt and they go for hunting. So after hunting, those people come back to their small clubs where they used to live, and the women and children, they used to wait for those men to go there and come back and cook it, and then they gather around the fire and then they cook the meal, right? Whatever they hunt. So, and then they were used to tell their family or their kids and the wives or how was their day and how did they hunted that animal. And they used to do with the body language. So one group of person will become that wild animals, and the one group of person will become those hunters. And then they used to show them. And I think, I think that was maybe the Stone Age time. That's where the theatricality of a story came into existence, and then later on is developed. And I think that is which we found on the caves, which Damian was mentioning earlier. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and it's and the idea that storytelling, even in a non-dramatic sense, but telling stories is something that we do all the time and always have done, and it's kind of interesting to think about why we do that without straying too far into anthropology, because we've wandered a long way from the Hollyoaks corner shop.
You have to cut this podcast a lot, trim it, because I blubbered a lot.
Just a little bit.
So, my last question, which I thought it would be good to end it on. If you weren't into acting, if you weren't doing acting, what other career would you be doing, do you think?
Career, I don't know. I found this acting. Robbie, you're just putting me in a spot here, aren't you? Okay.
I'm sorry.
I think I'm going to guess which one. What you're going to say. What's the final answer going to be? So I'm going to write it down on my phone and show Steve.
That would be great.
Okay. Oh.
I found this acting very late in my life, right? Some people started doing their teenage, and I've seen those kids amazing from their schools, their colleges, and everything. But I started doing after finishing my college, finishing my degree, and when I was working, and that's when I found it. Yeah, and it's not about founding. It's just that's when I realized, okay, I'm good at that something, and I was always finding the answer of that. What is that is, and while I started doing it, and then this is that. And I can't live without it. So if I won't be doing acting, I perhaps I would be very good with the coaching counseling. So I would love to work as the mental health counselor, and because I've been doing a lot with my friends, not just with them, but when I was working back in the UK with the company, I was in training anyway. So that experience, marrying with this one, would maybe pay the bills, but that would be just living, not lifestyle. I would love to create a lifestyle, and I would love to be somebody. So I just love everything about acting. So what was your answer? What was your answer, Damian?
I wrote down on my phone modelling.
That's what I was
I
saying.
could confirm.
That's I could. Oh, see, I changed in 3 years, didn't I? But I don't know. I don't see doing modeling. I just get bit. I do modeling a little bit of course that helps me to pay my bills. I put this skinny look on and use sometimes, but I won't see myself doing modeling for all my life. No, I don't think so.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So, in an attempt to change up this outro a little bit, I've been requested by James to say the following. It seems that old Father Time has ticked away the weary hours to the end of another podcast. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you, LV, for coming on as a guest on this podcast. You shared some very interesting information there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And if you, the viewers, also found that interesting and liked the new outro, then, as always, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. And if you are listening on any other platform, then please hit that follow button.
Along with that new and, I say, great outro, Robert, I just got to relay an old message. I just got to relay that this podcast is now available on most streaming platforms. Why not check us out on Amazon Music Podcasts?
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to check out the links in the description for our other channels and websites. And on that note, it's goodbye from our special guest.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Seriously, it was like the most fun I had in a week. Let's just say that. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, LV. And it's goodbye from me.
It's I'm waving my hand from me.
I'm waving my hand too. Goodbye, Damian. Goodbye, Rob.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
And to play us out, here's some bits of incidental music from that first production we did with Avi, which was Robin Hood. And it's a waving my hand goodbye from me. See ya.
Bye.
Wavy, wavy.